Well, the pros are going to be burning massive calories and watts and rubber, the Ventoux, over the next few hours. How will they stay fueled to do it, and will they break that race record? It's 55 minutes 51 seconds, set by Iban Mayo a few years back. Well, nutritionist Alan McCubbin's back with us to help out. G'day again.
Hey, Ed.
You've seen us munching baguettes and red wine. That's not the dinner of pro riders, is it?
Well, it was 80 years ago.
Fantastic.
Not so much today.
Okay, so what sort of fuel will the guys need over, say, the 3-week period, and specifically a real belter of a stage today?
Yeah, like Grand Tour obviously is quite different, being 3 weeks compared to just a one-day race. So a one-day race you can just fuel up just for that day, do your thing, have your on-bike nutrition, and that's pretty much the end of it. But with a 3-week race, you've got a whole lot of other issues to contend with. You've got the fact that you've got to back up day after day, recover, get your nutrition in for the next day and then the next one after that. You've also got issues in terms of staying healthy over that 3-week period, and quite often we see in a Grand Tour 1 or 2 riders getting sick and it destroys their tour, and Cadell was an example of that last year at the tour. He got a bit of a virus there. So depending on the stage, they could burn up to about 7,000 or 8,000 calories, particularly on a big mountain stage. But it will vary depending too. If someone's in the break, they're obviously doing a lot more work than someone who's just sitting safely in the bunch on a flat stage.
Do you think sometimes athletes need to be reminded, to eat something that they doesn't always come naturally day after day, to be constantly eating while you're racing?
Yeah, absolutely. I find from experience with athletes I work with, it varies. So some are really good and they eat plenty. Others really struggle with it, and you have to constantly be on their back and remind them.
We know. Oh, sorry, go.
I was going to say, why don't you take us across the table and have a look at some of these great things that we might get to fuel up in, were we in the pro peloton?
Yes.
I guess you accrue fatigue, don't you, as a 3-week race progresses, but you also accrue some serious hunger pangs.
Absolutely. And a lot of it is to do with the practical aspects of the tour in terms of transfers, where there's access to kitchens, and as we said last time, there's chefs working with most of the teams these days. But to run you through it, we've got breakfast here, and most of these recipes are actually variants on some of the things that the chefs are actually making this year at the tour. So the muesli there is like a Bircher type of muesli with some yogurt and fruit, and that's very similar to one of the recipes from the Saxo chef. We've also got an omelette with rice, and that's often a very popular dish for both the protein and the carbs in the morning, and a lot of teams will have something very similar to that. We've also got a smoothie there, and a lot of the teams have quite a few smoothies, and it's a way of getting a lot of calories in without bulking out and eating enormous quantities of food, which can be quite tricky to do as well. And we've got some beetroot juice over there, which a lot of people will know is sort of the sports supplement of the modern age, I suppose. And then we've got the coffees there too. So depending on who the rider is, it could be anywhere from 1 to 4 or 5 coffees. Absolutely.
I mean, in the old school days, they used to have a big breakfast in the morning, early, and back up and have another breakfast.
Yes, and they often do that still. So they might even have another omelette with rice about an hour and a half before the start of the stage. Because most of the stages start in the middle of the day, sort of around lunchtime, you don't really get a chance to eat lunch per se, so you have to have sort of a snack before you go for a ride. But depending on the practicalities of the day, it might just be a banana and some sports drink, or it might be something a bit more substantial, some pasta or something like that.
Isn't it a great sport that you can just eat when you're still going full bore?
Well, when we were racing the Giro, in every Italian town or hotel, the 3 hour before the race start meal would usually be big chunks of parmesan, prosciutto, and then pasta bianco, which is just plain pasta and olive oil. And really gnawing on parmesan is not really the kind of thing you feel like doing 3 hours before a race.
Not
but
really.
Then after a while you think, oh, well, this is it. This is my protein, my fat,
And it's really interesting too, looking at the different teams and how they organise their food and their chefs, because they all have their little cultural differences, I suppose, with different teams. So, for example, Saxo, I guess, being more of an international team, has a bit of everything. But Sky tend to have porridge, being the nice English guys that they are. Orica Green Edge might be more, muesli or something like that, whereas the Americans from Garmin, they'll often have something like pancakes or granola, sort of that more American flavour.
I think Sky's table would be just that smoothie. But everyone's different, because I could never eat spaghetti or rice in the morning. I just don't see getting out of bed, olive oil, spaghetti and a coffee doesn't do anything for me.
Thanks for that, Alan.
But quickly, just Contador, I know he's got all this access to all this good food, but he just wants to eat croissants.
Really?
Oh, yeah?
Croissants.
Fantastic. And you'll probably roll your eyes at this. We've got this great twit pic as well. One of the guys, after a very hard day in the saddle, relaxing in his ice bath with A Snickers. That's Marcel Siebler.
That's the 198 centimetre gentleman. He needs 8 Snickers.
That's
to fill
probably
those
right.
legs.
We've got our own little musette for you.
Yeah,
You might
I've got a
like to
little
take
bag
this
for you,
away. There's some
Alan.
goodies in there, Alan.
Beautiful. The wine and the cap, but also stuff that I take in my food bag.
Beautiful.
Got a wagon wheel.
cookie.
Yep.
A wagon wheel.
I got a vanilla slice as well.
That's
mate.
beautiful.
So,
My wife
you
will
know,
be happy
enjoy
with
that. Enjoy that.
Fine,
Will do.
fine protein. Thanks so much. Good on you.
Not a problem.